interpellation. You're recognized, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Good morning, the good secretary and the rest of the DOT family. Let me first say congratulations, Secretary Frasco. You've been leading the DOT in a way that has also brought all the laurels in the country in terms of our recovery efforts. And we are so happy with that. It cascades down to the local government levels where our tourism industry is also picking up. We are feeling that in the province of Bohol, including increase in international arrivals with international flights as well. And so thank you once again. That's why we are concerned with the decrease in the budget. But as our senior vice chair and I are talking here, we have also been concerned about the utilization rate, as mentioned by the other members of Congress. And we really hope that this can be improved because both the DBM and the Appropriations Committee always check on the utilization of every agency. And that's why I'm concerned, because I want a bigger budget for the DOT. On the arrivals, congratulations, we are really picking up. But may I know if the DOT is now using really the standard satellite accounts as approved by the UNWTO in the determination of statistics?
Mr. Chair, I confirm that we are using these accounts as set forth by UNWTO.
Okay, so thank you very much then. So at the local level, it's easy to determine arrivals of foreign nationals. At the local level, how do we determine a tourist between just an ordinary traveler going to their homes? What is the specific statistic requirement so we can say these are domestic tourists traveling to other parts of the country?
Mr. Chair, we work very closely with all of the local government units across the country through our regional offices as far as their required submission of data on regional overnight travelers that defines specifically the arrivals between foreign arrivals and domestic arrivals.
Okay, so these are determined by the occupancy of hotels, resorts, and other accommodations.
As far as overnight travelers are concerned,
Correct.
yes.
And they do not account, of course, those that are staying in relatives and all those, because they cannot be accounted for. Is that correct?
There are also metrics that are being used to measure daytime travelers, Mr. Chair. But admittedly, as far as international arrivals are concerned, the e-travel system helps us greatly in monitoring down to the last person, the arrivals into the country. As far as the local domestic tourists are concerned, at the moment, we depend on the submission of the data from the local government units that's consolidated by our regional offices. And the budget that's allocated for the improvements in IT for the department will help greatly as well as far as fortifying our ability to gather domestic tourism data.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me go down to the travel tax, because this is one component of RA 9593 that would really help the Department of Tourism. 50% goes to TIEZA, and then 40% to CHED, and 10% to the NCCA. May I know if there is a mechanism of coordination between DOT and the agencies that are recipients? Of course, TIEZA is under directly with the DOT in the utilization, because there's a big talk here in Congress, including the Committee on Tourism with the chair here and the APRO committee with respect to the 10 billion unutilized fund in the possession or supposedly directly remitted to the Commission on Higher Education. And there seems to be passing of the ball between DBM and CHED. Would DOT have anything to do or at least monitoring on the utilization? Because when we crafted the law in 2009, it was really intended to benefit the tourism industry. And the reason why both Senator Gordon and I agreed to keep it with CHED was precisely because it should support the training programs of the Department of Tourism and the tourism industry. So we would like to know if the secretary is aware of the manner of utilization of these funds? Like NCCA, are they doing their programs also in relation to the overall mandate of the tourism sector?
Thank you very much for that question, Mr. Chair. We recognize the value of the funds that go to the Commission on Higher Education, especially for its intended purpose, which is to support tourism education, which is precisely why very early on last year, I wrote to the head of CHED to request for an accounting of the funds that have inured to the coffers of CHED. And the reply has been that it is deposited to their general fund, so they are unable to specify whether or not the funds are really devoted to tourism education. With that, I express a similar concern to TIEZA, and the result of that has been for TIEZA to pass a board resolution to formalize its own request for an accounting of these said funds. That being said, tourism education is one of the opportunities that we foresee can really help further improve hospitality and expand tourism opportunities. And therefore, we would be very grateful for any interventions on the part of the House as far as assisting the DOT and the TIEZA in our ongoing efforts for an accounting of these funds.
Yeah, just for the information of the chair, the Committee on Tourism, where I sit as senior vice chair with our chairman here, is calling a meeting together with the DBM, DOT, and the other recipients of the travel tax. We should be able to level off what was the intention of the law and whether the intention of the law was met in the implementation. I left Congress in 2010 after we passed the Tourism Act, where I was the chair of the House Committee on Tourism. And after 10 years, I was so surprised that there is 10 billion unused. So this is the highest example of unutilized fund. Yet we are also saying that we lack funds for the tourism sector. So we have to also account that. Mr. Chair, let me also proceed to corporate performance. Part of the law that we created was envisioning for duty-free Philippines to be able to generate funds to support the tourism. Has there been remittances from the duty-free Philippines to the programs of the tourism industry? And that's also true with TES, because the TIEZA is supposed to generate income also from the TES. We would like to know how this has been implemented.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the total remittances made by DFPC since 1987 is about 10 billion pesos. And for the remittance for 2022 or 2021, where's 2021? Okay. For the year 2022, versus 2020. Okay. Okay. For the year 2022, we're supposed to remit 243 million pesos, Mr. Chair, but only 58 million was remitted in the first quarter. And we still have a balance of 174 million, which was used to fund DFPC's operations during the pandemic. This is for the salaries because there was no troops.
Okay, the point is,
Yes.
our duty-free Philippines is remitting to the DOT.
Yes, yes, sir.
And I know from TIEZA if there is already an income generated from the TES. The original concept of the TES, the investment arm, was the Senate proposed only a TES. There was no infra. It was the House that insisted on putting the infra because there's no other agency that can focus on tourism infra. But the TES was left as a function of the TIEZA precisely to generate fund in the management of our TES. Has it been implemented?
So for the total, yung sa regulatory, yung fees and charges, that's the only thing that we're earning. But for the whole country, we were able to designate at least 18 tourism enterprise zones, which has already a total investment of 119 billion. And then we have 10 registered tourism enterprise zone with a total of 11 billion investment, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
And the total manpower or total employees that have been generated from these TEZs were already around 74,492.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this is my final word. Let me just request also the DOT through the secretary to please look into the rates of airlines with the Department of Transportation. It has really been so high, and I can say that for Bohol because I go there every weekend. And our rates here are even higher than going abroad. So I think that needs some kind of leveling off with the industry. How we know demand and supply is playing in the market, but we have also to look at how we can be competitive if our local rates are very, very high and staggering. Thank you very much, Madam Secretary, and congratulations.